Fui, di, vi. Hice, quise, vine yo. Pude, puse, supe yo. Dije, traje, conduje yo. Tuve, anduve, estuve yo. Pretérito irregular. Ya yo sé los verbos. Ok, chicos, hoy vamos a ver unas maneras o unas condiciones en cuando vas a usar el pretérito. We're going to take a look at some situations in which you'll need to use the preterite. And right in front of you, what you have are questions that you saw on the quiz that we did a few days ago. So you were asked these questions because I wanted to see, since preterite is actually a review from Spanish 2, I wanted to see what you guys knew about the preterite. And I'm finding that there are many of you that don't know when to use it. So here we go. You had this question, when do I not use the preterite? That was number 1 on your quiz. And the options were when actions have a definite beginning and ending, when actions happen habitually in the past, when there is a succession of actions in the past. That means something happened and then something else happened and then something else happened, right? So a succession of like main events that happened in the past. And the last one was when actions are interrupted by another action. So the correct answer here is when actions happen habitually in the past. We are not going to use the preterite tense when a past action happens over and over and over again. So when you say things like, every summer I went to my grandma's house, that's clearly past tense, right? Went. But because it says every summer, we're not going to choose to use the preterite. In the other situations, a definite beginning or an end to a past action, like it started to rain, or the movie ended at 3 o'clock, or, anything like that. When there's a succession, my mom went to the bank, then she went to the store. She bought ice cream and cake. She returned to the house. A succession of main events, that will be the preterite tense. And when actions are interrupted by another action, the interruption will be the preterite tense. So, like, I was reading a book, that is not the preterite tense, but I'm about to interrupt that reading, right? I was reading a book when the phone rang. The phone rang is the preterite tense. Okay, we're going to go on to the next quiz question. And you're welcome to redo the quiz if you would like after having this explained to you. Again, identify when to use the preterite. Our question is choose the correct example of an action that has a definite beginning and an end. Luis se levantó a las 7. Luis woke up, desayunó, he ate breakfast, y se fue a la escuela, and he left to go to school. The second option, estaba durmiendo cuando sonó el móvil. I was sleeping when my cell phone rang. And the next one is, ayer por la noche fui al cine. Last night, I went to the movies. I think that the best example of this is Luis's, well, it could be either Luis's succession or when you went to the theater, right? Both of those have a definite beginning and end, but I think the correct answer in this situation would be last night I went to the movie theater. Going to the movie theater only happened once. It happened at a specific time, and then something else probably happened, right? So the correct answer would be the last selection. Another question on the quiz was choose the correct sentence with a succession of actions in the past. And we have the exact same answers as the last question. Luis se levantó a las 7, desayunó y se fue a la escuela. Ayer por la noche fui al cine. And estaba durmiendo cuando sonó el móvil. And the correct answer is the first option. Luis got up at 7. He ate breakfast. He went to school. That's a succession of 3 different instances, 3 different actions, and they happened one right after the other, right? And then the next question, choose the correct sentence that has an action that is interrupted by another. And we have the exact same options as last time. I'm sure that by now you were down to one of these 3, but the correct answer would have been estaba durmiendo cuando sonó el móvil, right? I was sleeping when the cell phone rang. That is the correct answer because I was sleeping. That's actually the imperfect. And when the cell phone rang, that is the preterite. Now we are going to have a quiz tomorrow on the preterite tense, and it's very possible, wink, 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 that not only do you see situations where you have to conjugate the preterite, but that you see these particular questions. And beyond next class, we will have so our quiz is Friday, but then we start discussing the imperfect. And it's a much easier tense in terms of conjugations, but it's going to take us some thought when deciding between the two. So I want you to take the rest of this class period to study the preterite endings, go back over this video and make sure you understand when to use the preterite. And as we go into the imperfect, you'll feel much more prepared. For those of you that need just a quick review of the preterite tense, we're not going to review the present. If you need to review the present, you need to come to tutoring hours at this point. So we have the sudden past, which is el pretérito, right? If you look, this is a great document or a great resource to have. So a screenshot would be nice, but it would be even better if you paused and wrote these things down. We've actually already written them if you have completed your flip chart, but just to go through them, AR endings for the preterite, E with an accent mark in the yo form if it's an AR verb, Aste for the to form if it's an AR verb. O with an accent mark for an AR verb. Again, I want to reiterate that the yo form is not an O with an accent. It's also not an A with an accent. A lot of people have been making that mistake. O with an accent is the el, ella, usted form of the preterite tense. And just to slide across that table right there and look at the ER-IR verbs, I-O is the correct ending for ER-IR verbs in the el, ella, usted form. These are errors that I've been seeing on plenty of work that has been submitted. And if you're not looking at your feedback, you might not know that that's you. The vosotros form, remember the trick I taught you. All you have to do is write down the to ending and then add is. It's that simple. Ellos, ellas, ustedes, they are different. Aron versus ieron, but not much different, right? That's pretty simple. If you need help with those, it might just be a simple matter of memorization. But if you have questions about them, if there's something about them that's bothering you that you need assistance with, ask those questions. In virtual learning, I can't tell if you have questions by looking at your face because oftentimes we're not seeing faces clearly. Um, okay, so some of the irregulars are Y changers. We did not go over these specifically, although we did see them in a couple of activities. And the rule is if there are three pronounced vowels in a row in a conjugated verb, and the middle one is an I, that I will change to Y. So there's an example there. And that's only going to happen in the same forms in which we stem change. The él, ella, usted, the ellos, ellas, ustedes. Remember, we saw an activity where that was referred to as the sandal, right? We had shoe verbs in the present tense or boot verbs, and now we have sandal verbs. We do have a lot of irregular verbs in the preterite, and there's a group of patterned irregular verbs, and the ones that you need to worry about are the ones in our chant, which is why I recorded the first part of this message. So, stem changers. The biggest thing to remember is that if they stem changed in the preterite tense, in the present tense, I'm sorry. If they stem changed in the present tense and they end in IR, then they are going to stem change. They're only going to stem change in the sandal of the verb box, right? That very bottom, the third person, plural and singular. And they're only going to change in two ways, E to I, O to U. And then we have ir and ser, dar and ver. And again, we have places for these specifically in your flip chart. You just have to learn how to use it. Okay? So take this time and study, especially the irregulars. Okay, chicos, have a great day.